welcome to the Science Faction Podcast, where science meets fact meets fiction.
This is Science Faction for the week of April 14th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Dominguez, and with me today, one other co-host.
It's just me, Benjamin Daniel Lawless. I've been here the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah, man.
What did you do to Devon?
What did I do to Devon? Well,
Which piece of him?
After he and I had our knockdown drag-out fight after last episode, the patrons know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I guess, I challenge him to come back on this podcast and shut me up.
I think he's too scared. I think he's a scared little boy.
Obviously. No, he's got weddings and he's, I guess he's got his spring break coming up next week. So he's probably not going to be on this week or next week.
Yeah.
We didn't do anything to him. He's a grown man and he makes his own decisions. And
big air quotes around all of that, but yes, go ahead.
Or he relies on his family members to make decisions that impact him.
I mean, don't we all?
Yeah.
The other thing that he showed us, he texted us some pictures of this knockoff Lego that he's been building.
Is that the Saturn V?
It's the launch tower. I don't know what it's officially called, but like the launch tower for the Saturn V. Because the Saturn V Lego is like, that's the official Lego set. But then there's a knockoff brand. I don't know what it's called. Legno or something. And they built, it's like the tower that goes beside the Saturn V. And it's scaled to the Lego Saturn V. So, and that thing, I'm looking at mine, that thing's like 3 feet tall or so. And so it's like it's the launch pad and the big tower. And he sent us some pictures of it, and I was like, "Whoa, that looks huge!" And he was like, "Yeah, and I have only put together a third of the tower." And
wow!
I was like, "Whoa!" So, Devon's been busy.
Yeah. So, he's not here.
No,
yeah, man.
That's
just the basic. And don't expect him next week.
No, don't expect anything from us.
Yeah. Hey, Stephen,
yes.
This morning at around 10 a.m. or so, San Diego got hit with a huge earthquake.
How huge?
Well, 5.2.
Oh, that's pretty big.
It's a significant. It's like as if you feel it as if a car ran into your house or something. It shakes things. And and my family's okay.
Oh, good.
Just, I know nobody asked, but my family's okay.
But is San Diego okay? More importantly,
that's a really good question. I haven't checked in on San Diego, though. It's funny because I don't find myself on social media lately. The entire world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
We've talked about that.
Right. But today I was just like, you know what? Hey, I'm on the toilet. Let me just see what's going on Reddit, and like the San Diego subreddit was very active.
Did you feel it?
Yeah,
I felt it.
Like,
did you feel it?
Someone posted an earthquake mega thread. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
so I immediately saw that and texted my family and made sure everybody was all right. And it was, so, wild.
That's good that everyone's okay.
Yeah. But that's, I don't know. that was kind of an interesting thing that happened to me this morning. I was going like, oh, hey, I missed the party.
I mean, that's an okay party to miss.
Yeah.
How many times have you been in an earthquake? Like in a substantial way, like, oh, things are moving. The vase is going to tip off the shelf. I better go grab it. Like that kind of been in an earthquake.
I'd probably say like 3 times. In my life.
Okay.
Most of the big ones that like have hit the Central Coast, I happened to be like traveling when they had happened, and so
But yeah, like when that happened today, I don't know if anyone around here felt it, aftershocks or whatever, but I was in the car because I was driving my kids down to their grandparents for a couple of days.
Nice.
Yes. chicks. It's like spring break's coming up. So this week is their spring break.
Yeah.
So a week without school. My lovely wife is going out of town for business tomorrow and is gone until like Thursday.
Jeez.
And so I was like, I don't want to be stuck in the house with the kids.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And they hadn't told the kids, but they actually went to a local hotel in Santa Maria and booked a room for 2 days because they have a pool there, like an indoor, like a nice indoor pool.
Wow.
And so they're essentially just going to go stay at a hotel, and so that the kids can like swim all day and stuff, which is amazing.
Wow.
Along with like, they told me like 5 other things that they had. They're like, or we could do this, or we could do that. And I was like, that sounds like a lot. So you guys, good luck.
That sounds awesome. Right
Yeah.
on. I'll be right down.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
Forget this podcast. I'm going swimming.
All right, good night, everybody.
Yeah.
So when I got home, there was something I needed to take care of, and this is something that you don't know about yet, but you will very soon. And that is that we have baby chicks again.
Oh, baby chicks.
Baby chicks. So
why didn't you tell me?
Well, because it just happened on Friday. And I wanted your live reaction. Because you'll be taking care of them when we go out of town.
Yeah, this next weekend. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
That's what I meant. But in my notes, I put chicks and scope creep. The scope of you watching our dog has now crept up to chickens. Yeah. So we've been, so after our last chicken was dog ridden, we now have 2 adult chickens left, and that's not enough. I mean, technically it's fine, but we want more chicken. I built the chicken coop for 8 chickens, and it has only ever had 4 in it. I was going to get 4 one year, see how we did, and then the next year get 4 more, and just the 4 more just never happened.
Yeah.
And then we had 3, and now we have 2, and I'm like, okay, that's now that I'm an experienced chicken owner, I know what to expect, I know how to take care of them. Boom, 6 baby chicks. So chickens right now, if you're not aware, are a high commodity because of the eggs.
Yeah.
And because there's a terrible avian flu, and there's been giant flock cullings for the big companies that do the egg stuff, which is why egg prices are so high. So the backyard chicken connoisseur, it's harder for us to find chickens because they are being bought out. And there's a local place here in Atascadero, like a farm supply place, that every week they get a shipment. And 2 weeks ago, we went and stood in line at 9 o'clock in the morning for about 45 minutes, and we did not make it to the front of the line, and the chicks had sold out. Yeah.
Whoa.
And so I was like, oh, we might have missed the boat this year. Like, it might just be 2 chickens for a while.
Yeah.
And then I was over at our local miners, / Ace Hardware, if you will. And they had a little sign up last week that was, hey, chicks are coming. And so I asked them about it, and they're like, oh, yeah, they're going to come in the mail on Wednesday. And I don't know if you are aware of this, but you can send baby chicks through the mail, and it's like a common thing.
No, I was not aware of this.
Yeah, it's apparently it's pretty common. You can go to like breeders, like websites and stuff, and order certain breeds and things. If you were to look now, all of them say we're done for the 2025 season because everything's been ordered, Anyway, so I was like, all right, this common hardware store is going to get some chicks. I don't know how many. There's a good chance that they'll either be sold out by the time I get around to them, or they're not going to get very many, or whatever. Well, so that was like on Monday. So then on Friday, I went back because I had to get something else for the yard stuff that I'm doing. Lo and behold, they had a big old bin full of little baby chicks. And I was like, oh, there's plenty here. All right. Now is the time. So I waited until the girls got out of school. I picked them up, and I was like, oh, I got to go. I have to run some errands. They're like, oh. I was like, yeah, I have to go to the hardware store and pick something up. I hear from the back seat. And I'm like, they have no idea. So we get in there, and we're walking, and they didn't even ask like what I needed to pick up or anything, And I was like, hey, girls, look over there. And they're like, what is that? And it's just a big bin with a red light over it. And I was like, oh, look, They ran up and they're like, chicks. They just like scream chicks. So we ended up getting six chicks.
Do you guys do that very often where like you don't tell them what's up and you just deal with whatever they're, because I do that sometimes where like I know, hey, my son's going to really enjoy doing A, B, or C, and I'm just like, hey, grab whatever you need. We're heading out for a little bit to run an errand.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, come on, let's go. And then it turns out to be like the most amazing thing,
Disneyland, no.
I mean,
we've been in the car for a long time.
Yeah, it's not been us, but like usually it's like I don't know, stuff like getting some frozen yogurt or
you just surprise, give them little surprises are big surprises for kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'll do that occasionally. It kind of depends. One thing that I found, so like when we went on that Saturday morning, I had told them about it on Friday. Like, hey, they said that, because they have like an Instagram account, they said that they got in chicks and tomorrow morning we can go and get some. And they got super excited about it. Talking about chicks all day was chicks. Then the next morning, quick, let's eat our food fast so we can go. Okay, blah, 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 blah. And then we get there and they run out. And then they're just like hit hard because now their hearts were set on it,
Yeah.
So for when it's something that there's a possibility that it doesn't happen, we typically don't say much about it.
Okay.
Like this whole chick thing, I was like, they were there this morning. They might not be there now. So I'm just going to take them and see,
Yeah.
And even like there were three, there was this one breed that I wanted to get. They're called black Sexlinked. And that's a bizarre name, but it's because for that breed, all of the females, the hens, are all black where the males are not. So that it's the coloring of the feathers somehow tied to the gender. So if you have a black one, it's going to be a hen. I think that's how I understand it. I could be a little bit wrong, but they're called sex links because their color is linked to their sex. Anyways, when they grow up, they're mostly black except for their head and neck are kind of a brownish. It just look kind of cool. I was like, all right, I'll get 3 of these. And then these other ones that were called something pearl. Smokey Pearl. That's what they were called.
Okay.
Smokey Pearl.
Okay.
And they are this light gray color that just looks really cool. And I was like, all right, I'll get 3 of the black ones, 3 of the gray ones. Great. Well, and there were plenty of all kinds in the morning. Well, by the afternoon, there was only 1 black one left. And so like if I had told them, we're going to get 3 black ones and 3 gray ones, then they would have been like, and all disappointed for like no reason,
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes we tell them, sometimes we don't. And that's life with kids. So anyways, I'll have to talk with you later about what to do with them. It's not a big deal. It's chickens are so stupid easy.
I mean, you don't know this about me, but like I nope out at chicken. So sorry, find somebody else. I'm joking. Of course I got you.
Dogs, yes. Chickens, no. No.
Yeah, no way. No
way.
I've played enough Legend of Zelda to know.
Well, just
I'm not getting anywhere near the chickens.
Don't hit them with a sword, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good life tip. Don't hit it with a sword.
Yeah, indeed. Oh man. So like, okay, hitting things with swords. Video games.
Yes.
I've been playing a video game lately that's been really interesting. It's called Desert Child. Have you ever heard of it?
Yes. No. The name sounds familiar, but I can't place what it is or what it's about. So I'm going to click on the link that you put.
yeah, for sure. Then the basic idea here is that this is an indie game. It is really like it's got an incredible style to it, but essentially, you're a hover bike racer that needs to get off Earth before it explodes. And
aren't we all?
You hunt bounties, throw races, and do whatever you can to get to Mars and win the Grand Prix. But
wow,
it has a lot of different different kinds of video game experiences in it. Like it's a little one part kind of management sim, another part, uh, just walking around and interacting with different people,
like a
eating noodles.
life simulator kind of.
Yeah. But the main thrust of the game is a side-scrolling, like
Hover bike thing.
Hover bike thing. Yeah.
It looks like the old like Ninja Turtle arcade game when you were on like the sewer level.
Right.
And you're on the board and you're just you're just traveling to the right but staying on the left side of the screen and having to dodge and jump and shoot and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the soundtrack in this is impeccable. Like it is so good. And as you're walking around the like after you leave Earth,
spoilers.
One of the things you can do in the city is you can pick up like vinyl and tapes at a local store, and that becomes the soundtrack for the game.
That's awesome. That's the same thing that they did in that road trip game.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Whatever that was called. That's really good.
I know what you're talking about.
Keep driving. Keep driving.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So like this is just it's so very good. And kind of short and easy. And it's got me like thinking a lot, man. Okay. All right. I don't know if you've heard about this, but I don't have a link for it, but I've been hearing rumors that the Xbox Series consoles are going to get Steam.
Really?
Yeah. That there's a lot of things in like betas and like hidden files and stuff that are pointing to the ability to install Steam as a storefront on your Xbox Series console.
But will it run Linux?
Now, this is exciting for me because, well, number one, I have an Xbox Series X, and there, I'm constantly thinking about that, like that idea. I mean, as a Steam Deck owner, of having like Steam be what your console is, right? So having this be essentially the like an actual working version of the Steam machine concept that Steam had for so many years ago that just kind of flopped, where it was like, hey, here's a PC we'll sell you that you can plug into your TV and it just functions like a console but has all your Steam games. You can set those up now.
Anybody who's a fan of Steam and like knows that is like, oh, that's just a computer. I already have that, and instead of it plugged into my TV, I just have a monitor. Like it was one of those like, who's this for things? Because if you're a console person, then you're not you have no interest in Steam games because you've got all your games on your console, and it's it was a weird. It was, I mean, cool.
The time wasn't right for it.
No.
Mostly because at that point, I don't think that a lot of consumers got upset with how locked to a generation your games are. Like we hadn't had a lot of generations under our belt where, hey, we've seen the practice of like, hey, you need to pony up more money to play your old games on your new thing.
Yeah. I mean,
like
it could be one of those things too, where they reached out to Microsoft and were like, "Hey, put us as an app on your store," and then because an Xbox is just a PC, kind of,
right?
Like give or take, because and a lot of Xbox games now come both to PC and Xbox because guess what? They're both just computers. So maybe I'm curious if Steam reached out to them at one point and was like, "Hey, can we do this?" And they were like, "No." And then they went and developed their own, and Steam went and developed their own stuff, and now it's kind of come around again and be like, hey, maybe now,
right?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. So and so it's like there's evidence for it, but not yet.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's one of those things where like I hope it does.
Yeah.
Because that would boost quite a lot of my playtime on my Xbox, to be honest.
There's it's interesting because I have so many Steam games, and some of them I'm like, I bought this, but I'm only going to play this on the Steam Deck because it is this feels like a handheld game. Sure, I could play it on my PC, but like why? Or like most like first person games, I'm like, oh, I want to play this with a controller, but like I don't have a controller connected to my PC. So instead instead of buying this on Steam, I'm gonna get it through the Xbox thing and then play it on my Xbox. Like I'm still like juggling those kinds of things. But if you could have one account, multiple devices, and just kind of do it how you want to, like how Steam's trying to get to happen, that'd be great. Sign me up for that. That's cool.
And definitely it's neat too, as I've been playing around with, putting Bazite, the Steam OS on my gaming PC, and having that work, and it's been cool. It's been really rad.
Nice. We should play stuff.
Yeah.
What was that?
Maybe
thing
in the next couple of days.
The Void Crew. I'd be down for some more Void Crew.
Yeah, get some Void Crew. I'm sure that Flint would be into it too.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost out of time here. I want to touch on The Last of Us real quick.
Okay. That's the show, not the game.
The show, not the game. So the season 2 just premiered last night. Just one episode came out, and it was great.
Nice.
And in the credits, it was like based on The Last of Us Part 2. So like the first season was the first game, the adaptation of the first game. It's not a 1-to-1. They did a lot of deviations, but the main story is the same. And it was great. It's great TV. Everyone did a fantastic job.
Yeah, it was really good.
And the second season, the scope of the second game was so much larger that they haven't said that it's like, oh, this season is all going to be just a second game. I'm pretty sure, just looking at at the end of the first episode, there was a little trailer of like this season on The Last of Us Part 2. I was like, okay, they're doing like a third of the game for this season because there's so much ground to cover and there's so much that happens. And even like, so within the Last of Us Part 2, the game, and I'm going to talk about this being as minimal on spoilers as I can be. There's a couple of really huge ones, but those will be spoiled soon enough if what happens next week. Everyone's going to be talking about it. But chronologically, that game is scrambled. There are a lot of flashbacks. And so the story is told in a very like Tarantino-esque way where Joel and Ellie, your two protagonists from the first game, Joel being the old man and Ellie being the young girl, and you controlled Joel in the first game. In the second game, you also controlled Joel, but you mostly control Ellie. So it's kind of like she kind of takes center stage in the second game. Anyways, between the two, there's like in the game there's a 4-year gap between them. In the show, it's a 5-year gap. I don't know why they changed it, but they did, and that's fine. It doesn't really affect anything. But when the game starts, they're estranged, and you don't know why, and you don't find,
I mean, it's interesting. Okay, sorry. Like having played a little bit of what it is, and like I've read through between the lines about why they're estranged, and it seems like it's because Ellie found out that Joel lied to her at the end of the first game/season.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of, if you read between the lines, that's what it leads you to believe.
Okay.
I think there's a little more subtlety and nuance than that, if I'm remembering correctly, but you don't get that full answer until like the end of the game. There's like this flashback at the end of the game that goes all the way back to this like one conversation that they have that chronologically would have been at the beginning of the game. They just didn't show us that part. And the show is running things chronologically, it appears, instead of doing a lot of flashbacks. So, except that one really important conversation, they just skate right past. Like the scene, like it's set up like, oh, it's going to happen now, and then it doesn't happen. And it was like, okay, they're doing things a little bit differently, and that's fine. That's totally fine. That doesn't break the story or anything like that. It's just interesting that like little bits and pieces that as you're playing the game, you're kind of peppered with. They just put it all out there at the beginning of this game, or the beginning of the show, which is great. There's a lot of really cool scenes that are just like 1-to-1 for the game. They're just beautiful, especially between Ellie and Dina. There's this whole like dance thing that happens. It was in the E3 trailer like way back when.
Yeah.
And they redid that whole scene like 1-to-1, and it's just as good in the show as it was in the game. Like the same music, the same setup, the same everything, the same dialogue. It was perfect the first time, so they didn't change anything. It was like, this is great. And it was so fun to watch. They've added a lot of other little bits and pieces, which is good too, kind of fleshing things out a bit. Yeah, it was great. I'm looking at the pacing of it, and I'm like, okay, if this season is like 8 episodes long, then yeah, this is going to be like a third of the game. They've already hinted at Seattle a few times, which the ruins of Seattle is a big chunk, like the middle of the game. And then there's the stuff with Abby. And Abby, her story in the game, you don't find out about for a very, very long time, about her motivations.
Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly. And then like something happens with her, but you still don't understand the motivations yet. And you don't find out the motivations until after like the thing has happened. This show tells us all of that like right up front, like right after the credits. It's like, this is who this person is. And they give us like 90% of the story. You could read between the lines a little bit, and they'll get more specific later, I'm sure. But that was interesting there as well, that the way that the story's being told is being massaged and adapted for TV without losing any of the actual storytelling or the punch, which is great. That's what they did with the first game/season, and they're doing it again now. Beautiful. No notes. Change nothing. You guys are doing a great job.
Right on.
Yeah, the whole Abby was a very contentious character in the game, and there's reasons for it. And there's a lot of bait and switch in the game that they're not gonna do, I think, in the show. They're not gonna hide things to be like, oh, you'll find out after you traverse this level. They're just gonna like tell us things, which I think is fine, because that's how TV is. You know, when you're playing a video game, you start to inhabit these people, right? You become they are your avatar for experience within the world, which is very different when you are watching a TV show and you're watching everything from a, I don't know, third person perspective or whatever. And so that's why these things need to be adapted. And that's why I think video game adaptations have had such a rough go for so long. It's hard to make that transition and have it make sense, because everybody's game is very personal to them. This is what I did in this game. This is how I played this character. This is how I interpreted, these things that I'm having to deal with. And then when you take that and you say, no, here it is on screen, and we're telling you how it is, and we're taking that experience away from you and instead showing you something different, that hits a lot of people in an incorrect way. Anyways.
Yeah.
The Last of Us Season 2, first episode, 10 out of 10. Don't change anything. No notes. Just give me more. Thank you so much. Naughty Dog and HBO.
Right on.
Never change. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Naboo movie?
I haven't. I have no idea what this is.
Okay.
Let's do it. Tell me about the Naboo movie.
The Naboo movie is a like the guys behind a couple of different podcasts, the Star Wars Minute and the George Lucas Talk Show, back in May of 2024, they presented a live reading of the original Phantom Menace screenplay.
With who?
Well, with Tawny Newsome, who you'd know as Beckett Mariner from Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh, okay.
Haley Joel Osment.
Oh boy. Okay.
Vic Michaelis. Vic Michaelis from Dropout.
Oh, yep. Okay.
Yeah. She does an incredible, or they do an incredible Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just so good.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, just like this all-star cast of comedians and stuff, including Eric Bauza, who I mentioned a week or two ago, because he voices both Daffy Duck and Porky Pig in the Looney Tunes movie I just watched, The Day the World Blew Up.
Yeah.
The Day the Earth Blew Up. And he plays Daffy Duck showing up as a reading Jar Jar's lines.
The first comment on this video is Daffy Duck Jar Jar is incredible.
It is incredible. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And so it's only 2 hours and 49 minutes long.
Only. Great.
I find out about this because one of my friends is going to the live, is going to be there live for their reading of episode 6. So they've done.
Have they done all of them?
They're working through all of them. Yeah. So after the Naboo movie, it was Camino Caper.
Oh boy.
And yeah, I recommend it if anybody's like into Star Wars and having a laugh at it a little bit. It's the stuff that they stick to in terms of the delivery from the script, and the stuff that they take major liberties with. It's all good. It's all wonderful. So
fantastic. This looks great.
I recommend it.
Why is Haley Joel Osment have one shoe on only? That's interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. I only got 12 minutes in.
Okay.
It was 12 minutes where I was like, I'm going to come back to this.
Okay.
And,
this seems like something that I would put on while like I'm painting or something, because it's mostly audio that you're paying attention, because it's the video that I'm seeing is people standing on a stage looking at a script.
Yes.
So I imagine this is mostly audio that you'll be paying attention to, that you can just kind of enjoy while you're doing something else, like a podcast or something.
Right.
Do you know what a podcast is? That's great. You listen to white men talk about things that they think that they know about, and they talk about them like they're professionals.
And they know nothing.
They know
absolutely nothing.
They know nothing. Okay. We're half an hour in. We've got to get to the science.
Sure. Yeah.
I am trying to close this window and my mouse is freaking out. Hold on.
Yeah, don't close any windows anymore.
Keep the windows open. All right. We are now to the point where it's either the future or it's right now.
No.
Tell me about this thing the sentence that you've typed in our notes. With no links. What is this?
No. Okay. All right. So, my wife really likes to listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
And he posited an interesting factoid the other day that really kind of threw our breakfast table into a tizzy. And here's the fact. The diameters of all planets in our solar system can fit between the Earth and our moon.
Yep. Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy? We did the math, and and sure enough, Earth to moon, it's 384,400 kilometers.
Let me check. Yep, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. I mentioned kilometers because when Nicole's looking up everything on Google, they were giving like the diameters of the planets in kilometers. So she's like, well, it's a lot easier if we just translate this one value. Yeah. And so if you take all of them, you and add them together, it's just under or just over 4K less, 4,000 less kilometers if you add up Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus.
No Pluto, huh?
Well, even if you add Pluto,
Pluto's pretty
you
small.
you get an extra 1,994.4 kilometers.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
People do not understand. We do not have the capability to understand the vastness of space. It's
Right.
just, it's so hard for us to figure that out.
yeah.
Like,
But
when you look at a picture, a drawing, an illustration of the Earth and the Moon, they are never to scale because the dots would be so small in the paper, or the paper would have to be so big. You just can't do it.
right.
The sizes are so vast and far, and like we look up in our sky and we go, right there's the moon. It's right there. And it's not right there. It is big and it is far away. And it's hard to imagine. That's cool. That's cool that you guys like at your breakfast table were like,
Yeah.
let's add up planet diameters. And everyone was like, yeah.
Let's go. That's a typical, breakfast on a school day sort of thing we do.
Wow. Planetary science at the breakfast table. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And that's it. That's it for me. That's all I have.
Fantastic. Great. All right. I'll make mine quick too. Well, not that quick, but because I talk way too much. So this comes from Science Daily. I'm going to call this one Mad Mouse, and you'll find out why in a minute. This was published on April 9th. AI models of the brain could serve as digital twins in research. In a new study, researchers created an AI model of the mouse visual cortex that predicts neuronal responses to visual images. Okay. This article is not super long. I'm not going to read the whole thing, of course, but this is kind of cool. What the science people did is mapped out the visual cortex of a mouse brain, and then they put little helmets, what I can only imagine are little helmets, on mice and recorded their visual cortex responses while they showed them action movies specifically. This article calls out Mad Max as one of them. For a reason. Let's see, to quote Tolius, who's Tolius? Andreas Tolius, PhD, Stanford medicine professor of ophthalmology and senior author of the study, says mice have low resolution vision, similar to our peripheral vision, meaning they mainly see movement rather than details or color. Quote, mice like movement, which strongly activates their visual system, so we show them movies that have a lot of action. Over many short viewing sessions, the researchers recorded more than 900 minutes of brain activity from 8 mice watching clips of action-packed movies such as Mad Max. Cameras monitor their eye movements and behavior. The researchers used the data to train a core model, which could then be customized into a digital twin of any individual mouse with a bit of additional training. So they created this AI model of the mouse's visual cortex. And the model, the new model is an example of a foundation model, a relatively new class of AI models capable of learning from large data sets, then applying that knowledge to new tasks and new types of data, or what researchers call, quote, generalizing outside the training distribution. And then it all includes in parentheses, ChatGPT is a familiar example of a foundation model that can learn from vast amounts of text to then understand and generate new text.
Right.
Once again, these things are not true artificial intelligence. They're just manipulating data in a very clever way. So what they did is they created this model of this digital model, and then fed it the information from all of these mice saying, hey, this is how the visual cortex of a mouse processes all of this visual information. And then after they did that, now they have a digital twin that when shown, quote unquote, shown visual data, the brain activates the same way as it would activate in a real mouse. So let's see. These digital twins were able to closely simulate the neural activity of their biological counterparts in response to a variety of new visual stimuli, including videos and static images. The large quantity of aggregated training data was key to the digital twins' success. They were impressively accurate because they were trained on such large data sets. Though trained only on neural activity, the new models could generalize to other types of data. The digital twin of one particular mouse was able to predict the anatomical locations of cell type of thousands of neurons in the visual cortex, as well as the connections between these neurons. I mean, it gets a little technical at this point, but the point, or the thing that they were trying to do, and the thing that they accomplished, is they made a digital copy of a portion of a mouse's brain, and were able to feed it information, and it reacted the same way that a real mouse's brain would.
I think that's interesting because like what that could mean for further research that does not require, like that can be done in humane ways.
Exactly. Yes.
And
they talk about that in this, saying that they could, let me find where the part is. There we go. Experiments that would take years could be completed in hours, and millions of experiments could run simultaneously, speeding up research into how the brain processes information and the principles of intelligence. Yeah, they say, like, this is great because we can take this one model, press Control-C, Control-V a whole bunch, and now you have a ton of test mice, right? Like, if you could make a copy of the entire mouse brain, the entire cat brain, dog brain, primate brain, you can then throw stuff at it, and over and over, and when I say throw stuff at it, I mean experiment with it, show it things, see how it works, the visual information, audio information, whatever this brain can process, throw that information at it to see how it works. And you could do it thousands of times, millions of times, and a lot faster, and you wouldn't be constantly and consistently killing these animals. Mice, not a big deal. Yes, it's killing a thing. Not always, but if you're testing on a mouse, sometimes what you do is you run the test, and then you have to look at the inside of the mouse to see what happened. And that typically the mouse does not survive that. Mice breed rapidly. There are lab mice specifically that are bred for testing. It still kind of sucks, right? I have a dog that was tested on. Like there are, for science to move forward, we have to test stuff. And instead of testing it on a human, we test it on something close to a human, to see if it's going to be good or bad for the human. It's one of those necessary evils in science that you have to do animal testing. Not on everything, but on certain things. If we could instead do a digital test, that would be amazing, right? If we say, hey, if we got to the point where it was like, hey, we have a complete digital double of a human. It's not alive. It doesn't think. But when we give it stimulus, we can see how it responds. And then we can input the stimulus of whatever thing we're trying to test for onto this model. We can see, oh, look at that. These chemicals interact in this sort of way, causing this kind of pain. Okay, back to the drawing board. And then, okay, what if we tweak our drug design just a little bit? Okay, test it again. Okay, tweak it some more, test it again. And you can do that over and over and over again, thousands, millions of times, without hurting anybody or anything. How great would that be?
Yeah.
I'm all for that. That's why I'm like, let's get vat meat going. Let's stop killing animals and instead let's grow things, and I'll eat that instead. I want that to happen as well.
Yeah, man. All right.
Yeah, that's. I mean, looking through, that's about it. Of course, link for mine will be in the show notes. So Talias in this article ends it with, eventually, I believe it will be possible to build digital twins of at least parts of the human brain. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So even then, like, this is a small portion of a mouse's brain, just the visual cortex. If we want to do an entire, not only the entire brain, but an entire nervous system, and it's, that is very far in the future. But like you said, this is the start. This is the tip. And that's really, really cool they were able to do this.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take ourselves a little break. And when we come back, it's story time.
Hey.
With Will Wheaton. We're going to do our book club. Perhaps you listened to the first episode of It's Story Time with Will Wheaton, or perhaps you went to Lightspeed Magazine and read Rock, Paper, Scissors, Love, Death by Carolyn M. Yauchim? Joachim?
Yeah, usually that's pronounced Joachim, but I could be wrong.
I apologize for my butchery. However you choose to pronounce it, I'm sure it'll be more correct than how I did. We're going to talk about that story when we come back. So we'll be right back. Hey, you. Yeah, you sitting there listening to this for free, like some kind of podcast freeloader. Look, I'm not saying you owe us, but if you enjoy our deep dives into AI, space, and comic book mayhem, maybe toss a coin to your podcasters. Join our Patreon, get into our Discord, grab some exclusive content, and finally achieve that deep, satisfying sense of superiority over your non-Patreon listeners. Just imagine their sad, uninformed little faces. Patreon.com/Science Faction Podcast, because knowledge is power, and power is best hoarded behind a paywall. And we're back.
Heyo.
Hey.
And a big thank you to our patrons, Renee and Josh. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Moving on.
Now, if our patrons just heard me ramble for a very long time about me running a Mutant Crawl Classic funnel this weekend, which I highly recommend, and also been talking about Red Dwarf. So if those are two things you want to hear about, become a patron. All right, moving on. It is now book club time. Yay, book club.
Yay, book club.
So I chose for next week, I made an executive decision that we're going to read the short story Fragments of a Hologram Rose by William Gibson.
Nice.
It's very short. I have not read it yet, but it was one of the first things he had published, I believe.
Oh.
And it's included in the Burning Chrome short story collection. So if any of our listeners already have that, you can read this along with us, and we'll talk about it next week.
Time to triple dip.
According to Audible, it's about a 15-minute listen, so it's fairly short. Just a small amount of homework this week for next week. So this week, Ben, what are we talking about?
All right, this is the story Rock, Paper, Scissors, Love, Death by Caroline M. Joachim. Originally, it was published in lightspeedmagazine.com. And it also happened to be the first story that was read for Will Wheaton's new podcast, It's Storytime with Will Wheaton. I was traveling down south for a roller derby thing, and I was like, hey, I was looking for a podcast for the whole family to listen to. This showed up on my feed, and I said, let's listen to it, and it was great. And I've also listened to the second episode that he came out with. That was another story. It was really cool. But this one, I just thought it was neat. The basic idea is everybody talks about how they'll move heaven and earth for the ones that they love. Well, what if someone moved time itself?
Ooh. So I also listened to Will Wheaton read the story to me. just a little while ago, after I dropped my kids off at my parents' house and drove home, I was like, now is the time to listen. And
Whoa. Okay. So it's fresh for you.
It is fresh for me.
Nice.
And the Will Wheaton podcast thing, he talks about why he's doing it and everything at the beginning of this episode. Talk about how LeVar Burton had his podcast where he would read things, and now Will Wheaton's kind of wanted to riff off of that and do it as well, which was really cool. It's like a good like 5 to 8 minutes before the story starts proper. So if you start listening to that first episode and you're like, where's the story? It's there. Give him a minute.
Yeah. There's a bit of opening for it because yeah,
that's how it is on the first episode of something with popular people. We got to explain it. Anyways, the story itself is a Gordian knot of love. It is kind of hard to follow what's happening, and I would like to see a diagram. However, it was a very good story. It's a story about a couple and how they meet, how they die, how they fall in love, like all of this stuff. And it was a good story, but it was a good story, but also like kind of confusing, but not in a way that is incomprehensible. Like if I sat down and thought about it real hard, it would all make sense. I know it would all make sense.
Yeah, and I think that it's an odd one to be adapted in a audio format. Like it works because Will Wheaton is a master of the craft, really, what it comes down to. But it is a difficult like first story to jump into. Like this is heady stuff. It has certain parts of it that would come across a lot easier if read visually rather than hearing it.
I want to see a comic book version of this story.
Oh,
that's what I want to see.
Interesting.
Yeah, not an animated and not with people, because certain things would be ruined if you're like, hey, that actor looks just like that actor but with age makeup on, like because we visit and revisit these characters at different points in their life, and that's hard to do with people.
Right.
I mean, unless you have a tremendous budget and lots of CG you're going to do, or you go the other route and just hire different actors for different age ranges. But like that always feels kind of off because it's not the same person, even though it's the same person. You know what I mean?
Well, unless you're watching Looper, and then you're like, yeah, that works.
I mean,
I'm in.
That's one of the rare exceptions. Looper is very good. Man, how did they get Joseph Gordon-Levitt to look like a young Bruce Willis?
Right? Yeah.
But it was a little uncanny valley at the same time. Like it looked really good, but also if you stared at it for too long, your brain started to cramp. So that's why I say like in a visual medium, you can put shading on people's faces, or you can make them look kind of similar but not, and you can be more subtle about those things. Where if it was animated, and maybe animated it would be okay, but if it was real life people, it would be very hard. You'd need a very creative director to do this justice, because right off the bat it's like, I'm a lady and this man and his father are sitting on a bus with me. And then like a chapter later, it's like that father was actually an older version of that person.
Well, I mean, it's the second paragraph where you find out that the father just grabs her, shoves her across the aisle into the son's arms right when a giant boulder the size of a car slams into the side of the bus and would have annihilated her at that point if she had been still sitting where she was.
Yeah.
And then, and so there's like, it starts off real quick with action, kind of setting up different things. And then the son, who just lost his father, but isn't really tremendously broken up about it. He and the woman fall in love, and
they just kind of gloss over that his father just died in a way that was kind of like, wait a minute. Okay. All right. Noted.
And then, 5 paragraphs into the story,
yeah,
it's 2 years into their marriage, and she suspects that her husband is cheating. He's staying late at work, taking weekend business trips, and then she already knew what she'd see when she followed him out to Beacon Rock, but she had to see it with her own eyes, if only from a distance. She was surprised to see him with an older woman rather than a younger one. She filed for divorce, and he didn't argue.
And as soon as that happened, I was like, I gotcha. That's her from the future. I know exactly what this is. Let's go. My time travel story sense started buzzing at me at that point. And then immediately after that, I was like, wait a minute. What about that old man? What about the dad? Hold on. And then everything is called into question from that point forward.
Right.
And the story, like at that point, it's like, okay, you got me. And then it doesn't try to hide anything after that point. It's just like, except for one. There's one more little hidden one.
Oh, yeah. You mean the woman in line for the bus?
Yeah. And even when that happened, I was like, okay, maybe. And then later it was like, oh, okay, that one too. Well, so then the rest of the story, and we can't go through it line by line because it's too confusing. But the rest of the story essentially tells about how they are trying to solve for how to keep everyone alive.
Yeah, and in love.
Alive and in love. And trial and error. They create some kind of like prediction machine. They don't go into detail. It's not important. But it's like, what if we did? What if we did this? And it's like, oh, you have a 0% chance of, or no, a 97% chance of timeline collapse. It's like, all right, well, we can't do that.
Yeah. So, so I guess one of the reasons why I say that this is a difficult one to hear is because it goes through several different items where if you were reading it, your eyes would just kind of like glance at the numbers and understand what was going on. So, there's several different probabilities that are being run. There's a probability of timeline collapse, probability of death of one or the other. And so, they're trying to get a low enough so it's not like near certainty that one of them dies or that the entire timeline collapses from them messing around with us.
Right. And then we travel into the far future. Because neither one, they're in love and neither one wants the other one to die, but they know because of the way the timeline worked so far is that when he's old, he has to go back in time in order to save her. That's just like an immutable fact of that they can't change. And so they decide, okay, well, we're just going to live together as long as we can until one day he was like, all right, today's the day. And he jumps in the time machine and he's gone. And she's like, oh no.
Yep. And, but she heads into 70 years into the future and finds basically a beautiful utopia world where all they need to do is just hang out and be tended to by robots. And this was interesting to me, this particular section, because there aren't a lot of humans around.
No, where are the humans?
They ask the robots about like, hey, where are all the people? And the robot answers very definitively, I'm only aware of 3 people in the 2-mile radius that I'm
because they're on a beach and like the robots are at every so many feet or miles or whatever. And they're just like
shops manned by robots, shuttle buses that drove themselves, hospitals and schools with no signs of any humans.
Yeah, just some robots hanging out.
Yeah. And a couple of teenagers on the beach.
Yeah.
And there are 57 people currently using this section of beach. The robot responded. Not here specifically, Andrew clarified. Historically, there were people doing tasks that robots do now. Why are there so few people? We are programmed as caretakers for those who remain. Most people have moved on, the robot explained.
There's a lot in the story where it hints at something larger, but doesn't take the time to dive into.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I think it works in this story because that's not the point.
Right.
The point is trying to solve this time travel problem.
But that's those things that really capture me, that propel me through the story. And I don't feel bad that I don't know the answer, because like having the question itself was enough.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah. And even like the characters are like, some kind of singularity happened perhaps. Oh, well, let's keep working on this time travel problem.
Yeah.
And that's
really
enough. That's like, okay.
It's not for us to fix,
Yeah.
you know, like.
And even the way the story ends is a tiny, tiny little question mark, because you don't get a definitive answer. You get a 99.9% answer, which if you read the story, you understand what that means. And look, this was good. As far like a time travel stories are hard to do, to try and keep the timelines straight. If that makes sense. Like Back to the Future is not a clean time travel story.
No.
It doesn't make sense. Like you either go the Back to the Future / Looper route, where you take liberties with how the time travel works, or you do something where like the timeline, the time travel that you do has always happened. And when you do those kinds of stories, it's very, very hard to lock everything in an interesting and fun way, where you're not telegraphing what's going to happen. Like at the very beginning, if it was like me and a future version of myself boarded this bus, you'd be like, okay, now I know that you're going to survive until sometime in the future, where you're then going to come back into the past. And when that is revealed in the story, it is revealed at a point where it's ready to be revealed. This is why I say, like, it'd be very difficult to do the story with real people, because we would immediately recognize those two people look like they're the same person. And so that is immediately broken. Yeah. Anyways, I thought this was very, very well written. Time travel stories are hard.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed. Yeah. So, cool. I'm glad you liked it. Because
well, you haven't told me, did you like it? Did you enjoy the story?
Yeah, I very much did. I think that like I kind of talked a little bit about that last time, where just, you know, hey, this is something I really enjoyed and I'd like to share it with my friends.
You almost said something else. What did you almost say? My boys,
my
science bros.
Hey there, champ. Listen, Tiger, it's you know,
hey, Scout,
there's some stuff I gotta share with you. Yeah, but no, I very much enjoyed it. I thought that, again, yeah, like the hints at stories that could be too is really cool. And the fact that I mean, Will Wheaton, he is enthusiastic when he's talking about his love for these stories as well, through you know, and that carries a lot with me too. Like it's really, it just feels very very nice. It's just nice.
He's a nice boy.
He's a nice guy. Nice guy. And did I tell you I met him at a convention?
Probably
at least one convention. Yeah. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. Did he give you a high five or anything?
I don't remember if we high-fived or not, but
did you touch him?
Our conversation was cut short because I'm assuming it was his wife had to chat with him about something.
Oh, okay. Well, wife Trump's fan for sure.
Yeah. Yes, 100%.
Sure.
Right. So it's just like it's fine. It's not a big deal. And you know, I'm one of hundreds of people showing up at a Star Trek convention.
Yeah, you were a face in the crowd for him.
Exactly. I was a Tuesday.
You were a Tuesday. Oh, to be a Tuesday again.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I mean, how many time machines out of love do you give this story?
I give this 1, 2, 3, and 7 time machines.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely give it Infinity Time Machines
Oh,
out of love.
okay.
Yeah. Which I think is
Out
the
of
same
love.
as what you said from a certain point of view.
Pretty much.
Time
Pretty
travel
much.
stories are hard, man.
They are hard. Yeah. And this just, then as you're going through and you're like, wait, does that mean this? Does that mean this? Oh, like that was a really cool little thing that not a lot of stories do for me,
I
but
like how this story did or talked about a grandfather paradox. No, not grandfather. Is it grandfather paradox? No, it's something else. It's not the grandfather paradox. It's a different one. They talked about it, but didn't call out of like, oh, that's a blah, blah, blah paradox. Bootstrap. I think it's a bootstrap paradox where at one point she's like, hey, what if we just give your younger self the plans to the time machine so that you can make it earlier? And it's like, that's not going to work because if you give me the younger me plans for the time machine, then I never would have thought up on how to make the time machine myself. So I would never have made the time machine. Like, then who created the time machine? It's
right.
They didn't talk about that, but it's like, hey, if you have a watch and you go back in time and give it to your younger self, and then you grow up with that watch and then go back in time and give it to your younger self, where did that watch come from? Right.
The gin particle sort of thing.
Yeah.
On.
It's probably has a lot of different names, what kind of paradox that is, but I liked that in this story, they didn't call it out as a paradox. It was just, this can't happen. These are the reasons why. Oh, I get it. And then the story moves on. And I'm curious if there are other ones buried in there that I didn't quite suss out, because every now and then I got confused. But I'm sure it's in there. I trust.
Yeah,
right.
but verify.
Verify your sources. Verify your sources. All right. Well, like we said before, next week is Fragments of a Hologram Rose by William Gibson, part of the Burning Chrome short story collection. Check that out. And I think we're done here for the week, man.
Yeah. Oh, how nice.
I think that's it. Is it next week? Next week
week we got to figure out our timing here.
Yeah. Because I'm on vacation next week too. We'll off air. We'll figure that out. But what I was getting at is that Andor season 2 is the 22nd, and that's going to be probably after we record our next episode, so we won't get a chance to talk about it yet. But that's coming soon. There's going to be The Last of Us and Andor, both season 2s running at the same time. Peak TV's coming back.
Just give me more Strange New Worlds,
Nobody cares about that. You know what was funny? I saw a commercial for Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
And there was nothing about Star Trek on it. And I was like, that's a first. I was like, what
I'll tell you what was interesting is that I check trekmovie.com pretty regularly, right?
Sure.
And I've been getting a little bit nervous because I'm like, they haven't had an update on their main page since March 11th. Like what happened?
Uh-oh.
And so, in fact, today I was on it. And I was like, okay. And then I saw that like on the ticker up top, they are just like, oh, hey, here's a bunch of new articles that aren't in the list. I'm like, wait a second. And so like there's a place to file site feedback. And so I filed site feedback this morning, and then like 20 minutes later reloaded and oh, hey, here's all the new articles that they never put on that just weren't on the hard, on the homepage. Including a new trailer for season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which has a murder mystery episode, a rom-com episode, a documentary style episode.
All right.
It looks pretty wild and wacky, and I think it's going to be great.
Is it confirmed that that's going to be their last season, or is there more?
They're not right now filming the next season. They're filming season 4.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
So when we have not had a release of season 3, I think it's planned for, when? An idea. We have an idea of when it is. So it's here, coming this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a couple months, probably.
In a couple months,
Not bad.
Right.
That's like the last Trek thing, right? That has survived.
Yeah. So after this, you're going to get the Khan audio drama and Star Trek Starfleet Academy. And then there's the new show that's being developed. That's a live action comedy that Tanya Newsom is making. That's essentially, I guess the way that I've heard it pitched is that there's a planet that's like a resort planet that it's like a workplace comedy that's about a resort planet that they realize that their like what's been going on at their place of work has actually been broadcast to the rest of the quadrant as like television.
Okay. All right. I get it.
Yeah. So
so it's going to be like The Office, except for
in Star Trek.
In
Yes.
Star Trek, and the rest of the galaxy's watching.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Check that out.
But,
all right.
Yeah. And I guess Patrick Stewart and Rebecca Romaine will be in Avengers Doomsday. So,
Oh man.
amongst many others.
So many Fox X-Men are going to be in that, and I'm curious why.
Right.
That's very exciting. I mean, it's when we saw Beast at the end of the Marvels. Is that where that? Yeah, that was at the end of the Marvels. The my goodness, I forget Photon. I forget the actress or the character's real name. Goes into another universe, and it's in
the Marvels. It was at the end of
the Marvels. Yeah. And it was Kelsey Grammer's Beast, or a version of his Beast that we first saw in The Last Stand, I believe. But this one, he looks CG and not makeup-y at the end of the Marvels. And so the theory is it's that universe's X-Men is where all these other actors, the Patrick Stewarts and the Ian McKellens and the Cyclops Man and Rebecca Romaine, that's all going to be part of that universe that's going to be brought in.
Yeah.
And annihilated, because that's what Doomsday does. So good job. So yeah, looking forward to seeing all those not as in like age old, but old actors as in the previous movie's actors back, because it was fun to see a couple of them in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, indeed.
Give us some more.
Right. And I mean, so like Kelsey Grammer and Chris Hemsworth also have been in Star Trek as well. So getting they're Trek alumni as well.
I mean, at this point, you could put it the other way around and be like, a lot of people are MCU alumni at this point. Like half of Hollywood has been in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So I went through. I was scrolling. We got to end the podcast. I was scrolling through Instagram and came across somebody's like podcast that they were like, I'm gonna give you a quiz to see if you know if this character has been in the MCU or not. And it was some obscure, like major names, but obscure, that they only appeared in like small cameos and stuff. And there's a lot of people, man, that have been in the MCU. It's pretty nuts. Anyways.
All right.
That's it. We've had technical difficulties. We've had time travel. We've had all kinds of good stuff. Earthquakes.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a good episode.
Yeah, man.
So,
well, you know what the worst thing is somebody stole all my violas yesterday and they won't give them back. I'm going to have to resort to violins.
Good night, everybody.
This has been the Science Faction Podcast. Tweet to the host at SciFact Podcast. Email them at sciencefactionpodcast@gmail.com and visit sciencefactionpodcast.com for more episodes.